Week 1 of Pro League is over and done with. We eventually got there, and it felt like there was a lot of games, and you know, I've really enjoyed it. I think there was some very entertaining games. There was some impressive displays from some teams, and it's nice to be able to just sit back and watch COD from home because, you know, I mean, weird flex, but okay. But like, I'm usually at all the events, and obviously I'm not here at Pro League. I wasn't Pro League last season either, so I did get to watch that from home, obviously. But as somebody who now has the time to stay up till late at night and watch all of the games, it's very nice to sit here and watch. It's been very entertaining. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it's been some very good games, as said, and yeah, it's been good. It's refreshing to have it back. Nightly Call of Duty is always good, but. Obviously, I didn't do a video yesterday on a recap of Thursday, which is what this is. And then on top of that, we're going to sort of look at the standings. We've got them ready to go here as well to get a good idea where everybody's at. Then we're going to go through what games are left for everybody to judge what sort of week everybody has next week. I'm going to do a separate predictions video. I'm just going to go through who everyone's playing now and sort of see where they are on the table, see if they've got a hard week next week to sort of judge where they are in the table and who they've got left to play. And it gives you a good idea as to, you know, how teams really are doing. Have they had easy teams to play against this week? Have they got a really hard group like next week? And that's sort of where we're going with this video. But quickly, let's review the games that were on Thursday. So midnight, we're up against UYU 3-0 to midnight. And again, at midnight, just looking really good, really composed. Honestly, I only half paid attention to this game because I was like, midnight are going to smoke them, and they didn't quite smoke them. You know, UIU made a good effort of it first map. One thing I will say about UIU is that with Methods, they actually look pretty good. I think Methods has been playing well, at least individually. We've seen some decent stuff from some of the other guys on that roster, but I think it's going to need a period of transition, isn't it? That's what it is. You know, these guys have the potential. We've seen them do decent at the first two events, albeit with spoofs, save spoof, rescue. What was it, save spoof? Justice for spoof, anyway. Methods is in there now, though, and I said they're doing okay. But I think realistically, if they were playing against an LG that were at the level we expected them to be, they wouldn't be 0-3. But at the same time, I don't think, you know, they really haven't been blown away. They can potentially compete as time does go on. We will see how they adapt. But midnight, once again, I mean, what can you say? They come into these games, I think you call the easier games, I suppose, and you know they made it look easy. That's what you want to do. Comfortable wins. Don't want to, you know, going into games and underestimating anybody. So they didn't do that. They went in against UYU and they got the job done. That's all they were expected to do. Optic 3-1 against Reciprocity was the next game, and yeah, Optic just seemed to get better with Zuma. And I honestly think Zuma deserves so many plaudits for this. I think he really has put himself back in the shop window, because I think after FaZe's crash out of the PLQ and bad start to the season, I don't think anybody really looked at Zuma and thought, yeah, we'll pick up Zuma. You know what I mean? I think, you know, he has the experience, etc., but he hadn't really necessarily performed well on a solo level through the beginning of the season. Now, I don't think he was ever probably going to be expected to be used on this Optic roster. Let's be honest, I think he probably would have thought, yeah, I'm just going to be there as a sub just in case anything happens. Well, something did happen. He stepped in. First couple of games were a little bit shaky. Of course, they did lose their first game against Midnight. However, since then, they went on a 3-game streak and looked pretty good while doing it. They got a lot better as the week went on, and a decent win against Reciprocity, who aren't a bad side. Now, S&D for Reciprocity was pretty good in this game, but this really could have been 3-0. Saying that, there was a couple of close maps, and Reciprocity could have maybe nicked another Descendo Salas map, but realistically, a good result for Optic anyway. They'd be happy to get it out of the way, because Rec could have potentially been a stumbling block for them. They were a stumbling block for them last year. They beat them, I think, twice at a knockout stage, actually, in tournaments last year. So, huge game for Optic to win. They get it. Reciprocity, for me, you know, I think their week has been a little bit disappointing. They really could be 3-1. I think, all right, well, we'll say 2-2 would have been realistic. I think they should have done better in one of their games. I think that was, I want to say, against Genji. You know, there's just been a couple of occasions where things that went wrong for them, and where they shouldn't have. They should have won a couple of games, maybe. Game against Red was one of the only ones I thought they really did get outplayed. Here against Optic, there was potential, but it really just wasn't going to happen. They need these little moments to start going in their favour, and pretty quickly, because I think it's difficult for them when it's coming down to like one specialist good use by the other team is being then not countered by them. Like their specialist seems to be the tiny little thing that's letting them down. I know it's a big thing, but other than that, they seem to be going toe to toe with people. So if they could use their specialist better, then they're going to be there. And I mean, one thing I do want to point out actually after last week was how good Tommy played. And if he keeps playing at that level and the rest of the guys can step up to what we know they can do, then they have a really good chance of doing a lot better. 1-3 currently from them. Not exactly the best, but it's been a tough week. Red, okay, 3-1 against LG. Massive win for them. Really, really big. They seem to be growing in confidence, which is good to see. You know, they've had close games. They really could be 4-0 at this point and sitting at top of the group with well, no, they would have been top of the group because they played against Midnight. And then Gen G, okay, maybe they deserve to get beat there, I would say. So 3-1, it would have had them at, you would have said. So they would have been knocking in and around the top of the group. I think they should have beat Midnight, but a really good performance out of Midnight really cemented them at the top of this group, and rightly so. Really good from a reserve, though. I'm going to say rated hitting some form, and we've seen a great clip from him actually in that game where he pulled out the Annihilator and got all the kills with it, basically. Did really, really well. But I want to speak about LG. Their struggles do actually just continue. It's been an interesting one, and I'm not too sure why they are struggling so badly. They finished 4th at Vegas and looked good for it, to be honest with you, but I don't really see what the problem should be. This team should work, really, but it just seems as if they're relying on ability, and sometimes some of the people on this team are letting them down on that front. You know, Slack isn't playing great, Classic's playing okay, John is nowhere near what we expected. I think Formal's playing pretty decent, as is Gunless, but this team is not gelling right now, and honestly, if things do not change before the next roster lock, or unlock, I should say, there is changes coming in this team, 100%. You know, they're a team, they're an organization who have cash behind them, so don't be surprised if they start going for some big players. And I think they need somebody else in there who can really put up numbers, and then they will start walking over teams. But I think it's a really, really sad state of affairs the way that we see LG. Hopefully they do step it up week 2. That's the thing, is the potential is there for LG. I said we've seen it at Vegas. They played well at Vegas, picking up a 4th place. Realistically, they should be doing better in this group. Gen G against EG was pretty simple for Gen G. You know, EG continued to struggle. Rock bottom of this group. They've won 1 map all week. They easily look the worst team in this group right now. They do have a little bit of a better week next week, and have had a tough amount of games. But again, Gen G consistency completely from them. They're undefeated, as are Midnight at 3-0. Map count looking pretty nice as well at 9-3. You know, I just want to see consistency. They've got a difficult week coming up. So if they can continue being unbeaten, they're going to look great. But we will really see what happens with the table next week. Let's now have a quick look at the table. And as if by magic, there we go. There it is. Now, Midnight at 4-0, Gen G at 3-0, Optic at 3-1, Red at 2-2, UIU at 1-2, Reciprocity at 1-3, Luminosity and EG Rock Diddy bottom, 7-8 from them at 0-3. Now let's quickly run through the games that teams have got to play next week. Let's talk about Gen G first at 3-0. Actually, let's talk about Midnight first. They're at the top. That one makes sense. Okay, so Midnight have got to play Reciprocity, LG, and Gen G next week. So the big game for them is really against Gen G, but Reciprocity and LG are tough games, especially if LG do step it up. But Reciprocity have showed they're no duck eggs at all, and Reciprocity really can hang with the best at times. So a tough week for Midnight, I feel. You know, if LG can play as well as we expect, then this becomes very difficult. But reckon LG are games I expect Midnight to win the way that all these teams are playing. But it could be a massive game against Gen G towards the end of the season, or at the end of the 2 weeks, of course. I'm super at the end of the week, I should say. I'm super interested to see what happens in that game, but there could be a lot on the line by the time we get there. So Midnight's run is Rec, LG, and Gen G. Gen G's is LG, UIU, Optic, and Midnight. Now, LG and UIU, I expect Gen G to win very comfortably, but Optic seem to be getting a lot better, so that could be a big game for them, and a big game for Optic, of course. But that game against Midnight towards the end of the week, it's on. It might even be the last game, to be honest with you. That is huge in the grand scheme of things. So let's see how they do through there. Optic's games are Red Reserve, Gen.G, and LG, and I think that's actually a really tough week for Optic. You know, Red are not going to be a walkover at all. I mean, if Optic continue to improve, I think they should win that. But Red Reserve are one of these teams who can absolutely match them in terms of slaying power. So let's see what they can do. I think it's going to be a great game, Red against OG. Actually, I think that might be one of the games of the week. So keep an eye on that one. But I think they're really going to be tested. If they get Dashi back, I think they could go 3-0 here. But realistically, Red and Gen.G are both very difficult games for Optic. If they were to go 1-2 this week, it actually wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time, if they went 3-0, it wouldn't surprise me. It just depends if Dashi's back. It depends if they've continued to adapt with Zuma. It'll be interesting to see. Absolutely, I can't wait for that Red game. Red, their lineup for this week is OG, EG, and UYU. I think this is realistically an easier week for Red Reserve in the grand scheme of things. They really could go 3-0 here. As I said, pending what Optic are looking like. I think EG and UYU are two games that Red should easily win. I think they'll at least be on 4 wins by the end of the week, which could put them in a good spot pending what happens. But realistically, I think Red Reserve will be okay. And I think they should go 2-1 this week. 3-0 at a push. But obviously, as I said, it depends what is going on with Optic, and also depends what's going on behind the scenes, because obviously we've seen a bit of a fallout last night for Red Reserve, where one of the all the players have come out and sort of said that they're leaving the organization because a lot went on behind the scenes that, I mean, we can't really disclose, but I'm sure those guys will be fine. They're level-headed, and they will put that out of their minds. They're very focused players, so they should be fine. UIU have a very, very tough week here. EG, Gen.G, Rec, and Red. Now, that first game is really important for UIU. If they can beat EG, then they'll be at 2-2. But going up against Gen.G, Rec, and Red, I think they'll struggle in all 3 of those games. I really do. I think EG is a big, big game for them to just, you know, push them up. I can't actually, hold on. Can we actually have a little check about? I'm not going to try and actually guess. So, I mean, basically, you want to try and finish as high as possible, obviously. But yeah, it's a huge week for UIU. I think going up against Rec, well, God, I moved it around. I'm an idiot. Look, I mean, we're looking at Division B there, but we will move this back up to midnight, of course. Is that okay now? Oh my God. What have I done? That's not right. There we go. That should be fine there now. There we go. Magic. Wow. West Production EU. Anyway, back into this one. So, either way, UIU have got a very, very tough week. The Rec game could be interesting, but I feel as if Reciprocity should win that one. So, be interested to see what happens there, which could be a very important battle. Now, these teams need to start getting wins quickly. Let's move on to Reciprocity. I don't think they've got the worst week, in all honesty. Midnight, UIU, and EG. UIU and EG are must-wins, of course. That will sort of move them away from the bottom if they were to be sitting at 2 and 3. But obviously the game against Midnight will be difficult. I don't think you can underestimate Reciprocity. We've seen them being very close to having a lot better record than 1 and 3. So going up against Midnight, I think that'll be an interesting one. I think they at least take a map. So it'll be interesting to see if Midnight can keep that fire, can keep the passion going, and if they can, then they should be able to beat Reciprocity. But if not, if they slip up and underestimate them, then Reciprocity could absolutely take that game. So Reciprocity have got a nice week there, and I think they will find themselves up the table just a little bit. LG, a super tough week for LG. I mean, that's the thing. They're 0-3, and then they've got to play Gen.G, EG, Midnight, and OG. So, I mean, the game against EG is a big game in terms of the bottom, but both these teams are 0-3 right now, so it's looking bad for them. Whoever loses is in a terrible spot, but whoever wins is not looking too bad. Well, I say that. They're still looking bad, let's be honest. But going up against Gen.G and Midnight and OG, if they play the way that they play it, they very much could lose all of their games this week, even against EG. Even though EG have only won 1 map, still, I think 1 and 3 would not surprise me from Luminosity this week. I think they'll get the first win on the board against EG, but realistically, Gen.G, Midnight, and OG should turn them over if they do not step it up. Honestly, if they do not make a change come WrestleMania, if this continues, I will be bewildered. They should absolutely be making a change if they can. I can't even remember who they got in as their sub. I think it was nobody notable. So it's not like you can even change that. They need to change something in this team. But so far, they are so far away their potential right now. Gen.G, EG, Midnight, OG is the lineup for LG. GG's, lots of G's here in this Division A. But they could go 0-4 here. So let's see how they do. EG, right at the bottom of the pile with one map win, have huge games actually against UIU and LG. They also play Red and Reciprocity. So, you know, EG, they could turn it around here. These are, I don't think they'll win the Red game, but I think UIU, LG, and Rec are not out of reach of Evil Geniuses at all. I think, you know, they're huge, huge games. I'd even argue they could potentially do something against Red if Red don't show up, but I think they really haven't looked good. They haven't looked good at all. If they can turn up to the level we've seen at the PLQ and potentially what we see in a one day at Vegas, then yeah, you're looking at a decent week. But we need them to turn up. We need them to turn up fast. I'm so excited for the second week of Division A. I think it's going to be really interesting. Midnight are the team to beat, as are Gen G. Optic Gaming have stepped things up. Red Reserve have started to look a little bit more comfortable. UIU have looked Reciprocity have maybe been unfortunate at times. Luminosity have looked shocking, as have Evil Geniuses. Let's see if either of those teams at the bottom can turn it around. Can Midnight eventually close it out? I think they might, you know. I think they're going to be top of this division come the end of the week. But guys, let me know your thoughts below on what you thought of the games on Thursday, what you think of this table, what you think of the games next week. Who's going to be top? Give me your predictions of who you think will finish top of this group. Will OG step their game up again with Zuma? If Dashi comes back, will they dominate everybody? There's so many different questions going into week number 2 of Division A, and I'll be there to answer them if I can, of course. I'm looking forward to it. Come Monday, the games start once again. I think it's about 9 p.m. GMT. I will confirm that on Twitter for you guys, though. Leave a comment below, leave a like, leave a subscribe if you could as well. We will see you guys on the next video.